Most men will never optimize their testosterone. They'll stay stuck, weak, low energy, low libido, unable to lose that stubborn belly fat. And guys, it's not because you're not trying. It's because there's still subtle ways that you're sabotaging your results. There's still ways where you're going wrong, why you're failing to boost your testosterone levels naturally. And I've talked about in my free testosterone course how I was able to boost mine by over 400% naturally. And many of you have had great results with that. Some of you still have questions because you're not necessarily seeing those results yet. And in this video, I'm going to do a deep dive and help you to find those ways that you're still going wrong, why you're not seeing those results. Because I want you to fulfill your masculine potential. I want you to have high testosterone, be confident, be fit. And that's what the world needs, despite whatever narratives parroted on men being too strong. We need weak men, low testosterone, a bunch of bull honky. That's what it is. Each one of you needs to take responsibility for your health and help yourself out, because society isn't going to do it for you. So use this as motivation. And in this video, I'm going to give you not only how to find these ways and turn this around, but at the end of the video, I'm going to help you to find a way that you can get your blood labs done and how you can come up with a custom game plan to help you to optimize and fulfill your masculine potential. So stick around till the end and I'll give you that. And guys, this is going to be a longer video. I'm going to go off the cuff. We're going to go down some rabbit holes. So kick back, get a drink, get comfy, and let me know in the comments below where you might be going wrong with your testosterone, troubles that you're having, questions you may have. Would love to answer those down there for you. So guys, first thing here, when it comes to our environment is laden with these endocrine disrupting chemicals. And yes, I take a bunch of shit for this, people saying they're everywhere, there's nothing we can do, man, what do you want to do? And people just accept it, and that's a bunch of bull. There's so much within your control to navigate this. Many guys, they're still trying to out supplement this toxic environment, and it's just not going to work. It's only possible through elimination. We have microplastics, we have glyphosate, we have PBAs, phthalates all over the place. And there's no way that you can still use these products, consume these products, and continue to have high testosterone. You have to eliminate these things. Like I said, you cannot out supplement, you cannot outwork these toxic chemicals. It comes only through elimination. And I'm excited because now I actually have a solution for you. I've partnered with Legendary Men's Care Products when they create products specifically for men that are hormone friendly for testosterone. And you can get 10% off their products at the link in the description below, from toothpaste, hair wash, body wash, deodorants, etc. And the cool thing is this is specifically for men. There's a lot of products out there that say they're hormone friendly, but they're still using natural ingredients that are xenoestrogens, or they're still going to have a negative effect on male biology. Things such as even something as simple as lavender essential oil is still estrogenic. So check their stuff out, because it's about not only eliminating these things, but you need to replace them. Just like if you're going to stop a bad habit, you need to have something that you can replace that habit with. So check out their stuff. And like I said, guys, you cannot out supplement a toxic environment. So on to the next one. Next one where many guys go wrong is in terms of their eating. Many guys still are under this myth, this belief that cholesterol is bad, that saturated fat is bad. And that is a myth, guys. Testosterone, hormones, our body needs fats, it needs cholesterol. And if you're not getting these ingredients, you're not giving your body the building blocks to synthesize testosterone. Testosterone is oil-based. Our hormones are oil-based. Our nervous system is made out of fat. In the 90s, there was the low-fat craze of the diet craze. And without getting into why that occurred and the lobbyists and the money that paid for that, whenever that low-fat diet craze went into effect in the 90s, we saw increases in Alzheimer's, dementia, neurological issues. Well, it's because many people were eliminating fat from their diet. And the expense of that becomes we deteriorate our nervous system, our brain, our hormones, and our bodies need these ingredients. So many of you, do not be afraid to eat fat, to eat cholesterol. I will say there is a specific case where if you have a genetic polymorphism of the ApoE gene, and I know that's a mouthful, if you have a certain variant of that gene, you will then turn eating fat, eating cholesterol into raising blood levels of cholesterol. So in that case, and that's the power of doing testing and doing genetic testing, is because if you know exactly what your genes are, you know how to best support your genetic profile so that you're going to get the best results. I actually have a client that has 2 of those variants of the ApoE gene, and it's very important for him to navigate that gene and still consume the right kinds of fat, because he still needs fat. He still needs to synthesize testosterone. He needs this for his brain. It's about choosing the right kind of fats. The omega-3 fatty acids is what we want. We want to avoid or downregulate or decrease the amount of omega-6 fatty acids. And I could go deeper into this, but I'm not going to. But just keep in mind, we need fat, we need cholesterol, and we need plenty of protein. And the other place where many men go wrong with their testosterone and eating is they think that if I just do everything right during the week or 80% of the time, I can dick around and I can just cheat all over the weekend, or 1 or 2 massive cheat meals a week. But what many guys don't realize is many of these highly processed foods, they have the forever chemicals in it. They have these chemicals that don't necessarily move out through our body. These things accumulate. And so even 1, 2 big binge meals of highly processed, very shitty quality foods will have negative effects that last potentially years. So don't think that you can just do everything right during the week, everything's fine, and then binge on a bunch of junk on the weekend and think everything's going to be fine. No, there's going to be significant ramification to that, but it may not be necessarily seen until years down the road, because these chemicals have accumulated in your body's tissues. So while following a balanced diet sounds nice and having balance and being flexible all sounds great, if you're still supplementing with these bad quality foods, these processed foods, it's still going to sabotage you guys. So don't think that, oh, balance, I can work in some of this, it's fine. Yeah, if you're okay with these things accumulating and having longer term effects, but if you would rather binge, still choose good quality foods that you're going to binge on, real foods, even if it is carby foods, high glycemic foods. You can still choose foods that are going to be better quality, organic, without these chemicals, without these pesticides, without these hormones. So next thing where many men go wrong is in terms of when they're eating and how they're sabotaging their sleep and their testosterone by eating way too late. And by eating too late, the negative effect is it blunts the release of natural growth hormone. And if you're eating late, let's paint the story. So say it's late, 10:30, you're hungry, you go to the fridge and you see, okay, well, I'm just gonna make some eggs and some bacon. Cool. You eat some eggs, you eat some bacon. Typically that'd be a great meal, right? But because it's so late, you now have this high amount of fat content in your stomach, and now you're gonna go to bed and your body's gonna be digesting through the night. And the problem is now that's gonna blunt your body's natural release of growth hormone in the first part of the night. And doesn't just blunt that release, but it affects your whole circadian cycle and your testosterone peak in the morning. So instead of eating late, you can have a window of at least an hour and a half, 2 hours, some would say even longer, after your last meal before you go to bed. And this is how you can optimize your sleep so that you have the growth hormone release, so that you have the proper release of testosterone, and you can wake up in the morning, strong, powerful erection with high levels of testosterone. The other place where a lot of guys go wrong is staying up way too late on their screens scrolling. So light management, light exposure is critically important. I've talked in the free course on how we want a cold, we want a quiet, and we want a calm environment, something that's dark. And yes, those things are true. And also we want to manage our light exposure and what we do building up to that period. Because if you think you're going to be on your phone scrolling on Instagram or TikTok right up until you go to bed, you'll find that you're going to have a harder time winding your brain down. So at least I would encourage you at least an hour. If you can't do an hour, 20, 30 minutes, and then find something where you can put the phone away, go play your guitar, go draw, write, read a book, something that you're going to get your eyes away from these screens. Because a lot of you guys are still doing this. I know so many of you guys that are still on your phone so late, and it's not a good way to go. So sleep is where testosterone is made. And if you're not sleeping well, it's where you're going to chemically castrate yourself. Next up, let's talk about training. Many of you, you're on either end of the spectrum. It's either your training's too soft, too weak, or you're overtraining. You're doing way too much and you're not recovering. So it's finding that middle ground, finding that balance. And this can be done in just as much as, say, 2 days a week, 3 days a week. You don't have to go to the gym that often. You can do this with a very effective minimal dose and still see great results in boosting your testosterone. When it comes to testosterone and training for testosterone, it's about exertion, the effort. And if you can do more intense exertional activities such as sprinting, heavier lifting, higher exertion activities, this is going to help you to boost your testosterone, because it's about stimulating your nervous system, giving that stimulus that's going to amplify and release these hormones, these chemicals, these neurotransmitters, and give your body that stimulus that tells it needs more testosterone. So the sprinting, heavy lifting, compound movements. But many of you, if you are the type, and I'm the type that I like to train, I like to go to the gym 6-7 days a week. If you're going to train that much, you have to understand that you're going to have to prioritize your recovery, because if you're going to train hard, you're going to have to recover hard. I know it's cliche, but it's true. In terms of the minimum effective dose, I like to reference Dr. Duncan French's work. He's studied what is the optimal training protocol for boosting testosterone, and he's found that doing 6 sets of 10 of a compound movement for 80% of your 1 rep max with 2 minutes of rest between each set is optimal for boosting testosterone. And I've seen this done even just twice a week is plenty. If you follow something like this, it could be the bench press, the squat, the deadlift. Following this protocol is your minimum effective dose for optimizing your testosterone. Sure, you can do more. I wouldn't do less, but these are some of the things that research is saying. And this is where a lot of you go wrong, is in terms of training too much or training too little. And another aspect with the training is some of you have excess body fat. And the reality is, if you have excess body fat, you need to get that body fat off. Whether it is implementing cardio, whether it's creating more of a deficit with your eating, your caloric deficit, you need to find a way that you can get that body fat off. So yes, even if you have excess body fat and you do the testosterone training, you may see some increases in testosterone. But if you're over 15-20% body fat, the biggest mover for you to get your testosterone levels up is to get your estrogen, get your body fat down. There's no way around it, guys. So next up, we're going to talk about the biohacks. And in terms of biohacks, there are things that we can do to boost our testosterone levels naturally with biohacks. And without going into all these different fancy devices, supplements, this and that, I want to focus in on 2 types of biohacks, focusing on temperature and light exposure. So if we begin with temperature. Now, temperature, we have hot, we have cold exposure. So if we begin, say, cold exposure. Doing cold exposure has been shown to help with your androgen receptors, to increase androgenic activity, androgen receptor density, sensitivity. So doing something like a cold shower, a cold water plunge, and doing this a couple times a week can be powerful when it comes to boosting your testosterone. Now, where many guys can go wrong with this is they're either doing it too much or they're doing it at the wrong times. If you're doing something like this after a heavy hypertrophy session, it's going to actually blunt your gains. So not optimal there. In terms of heating and using something like sauna, infrared sauna, heat can be great because heat shock proteins, blood flow, there's all kinds of benefits to doing heat and growth hormone release, etc. Now, where many guys go wrong with this is doing sauna, doing activities where it may overheat the testicles. And this is a big no-no because sperm, testosterone do not like heat. It does not like high levels of heat. So going in the sauna, if you're going to be using the sauna, I encourage you to use a cold, wet washcloth, put that over your testicles. That's a good way that you can protect them. But there's something that I want to point out where doesn't get talked about a lot, and it's where many men who are fit, healthy athletes, they tend to have issues with fertility and testosterone. And this is because they can develop overly developed veins in the testicles. And this is called a varicocele. And a varicocele refers to excessively developed veins in the testicles, which can develop over time, exercise, bodybuilders, athletes. And the negative effect is now you have more veins, more blood flow in your testicles, and that's going to make your testicles hotter. And that's going to make your testosterone and your fertility down low. So this is a way, this is actually the most common cause of infertility and fertility issues with healthy men is a varicocele, overly developed testicle veins. And a way that we can navigate around that is using ice, using cold therapy. Say, if you've been driving in your truck all day, wearing blue jeans, your boys are going to get very, very hot on that seat. Heat gets stopped in, and it's going to cause your testicles to get overly hot. Sure, it may not be practical, but taking times throughout the day where you can cool your testicles. Something as simple as cold wet washcloth, ice pack, use a barrier so you're not burning your skin. Using this is going to help you to constrict those veins in the testicles, and it's going to help to push out the blood flow and cool those testicles. So this is a great way that you can boost your testosterone and actually increase your fertility just by using something like cold exposure to the testicles. Because cold, great. Too much heat, not great. Now, in terms of light, we can use light, red light therapy. We can use infrared light, great modalities to boost testosterone. Now, we've all heard about using the sun. Maybe you've not heard about it, but a lot of people have been talking about this now, is using sunlight on the testicles, sunning the perineum, your gooch, and how this is going to help you to boost testosterone. And this is a great thing. Now, if you're using the sun, if you're using sunlight, you're going to want to use a lower dose. You're not going to want to use, or you're not going to want to do this for 10, 15, 20 plus minutes. That's quite a long time, and you're going to burn yourself. That's counterproductive. Instead, you want to use just a smaller dose, just a couple minutes at a time, if you're going to be sunning these nether regions. So those are ways that you can use the biohacks to boost your testosterone without actually going overboard and finding ways that you can circumnavigate some of these risks or negative effects that can occur if you're doing these things the wrong way. Now, in terms of supplementation for testosterone is a subject that I know many of you ask about. Probably the top most questions I get is on what are the best supplements to boost testosterone. And yes, there are supplements that can do this. And first, the biggest problem that men have with supplementation and testosterone is they're looking for these quick fixes, these supplements that we see evidence for boosting testosterone. Tongkat Ali, Fedosia agrestis, stinging nettle, ashwagandha. These things we see boost of testosterone with, but they look for these at the expense of your basic nutrients and minerals. You really need to make sure that you're getting plenty of zinc, magnesium, boron, vitamin D. And I know it seems very basic, guys. I know this is stuff that you say, you roll your eyes at and you think this isn't important. I get this in my food. That's what you think, that's what you say, but that's why you still have low testosterone levels today. So maybe you should fix that and take this to heart, that you need to get your minerals, your nutrients covered. Once you've done that, yes, using some of these supplements, and I go into the dosages in the free testosterone course, implementing these are great ways that you can boost your testosterone. But you don't prioritize more of these niche herbs over the basics, the foundational nutrients and minerals. Our final strategy that most men go wrong with is in terms of semen retention. This is a hot topic on the webs, on the channel, is semen retention. And we see the research with semen retention, how after ejaculation, there's a period of 72 hours where there's this dip of testosterone, this downregulation of androgen receptor activity. So immediately following ejaculation, 3 days afterwards, you're going to be at a low where testosterone is going to be less effective. And this is a big no-no if you are a high performer, if you're a pro athlete, if you have a big presentation, a big deal coming up. You don't want to be ejaculating within those 3 days or 72 hours prior to this event. Maybe you do, maybe it feels good, and maybe that's great for you. But if you want to be a high performer, be hyper-focused, dialed in, high testosterone levels, you're going to want to time this a little bit better. And research also shows us that after ejaculation, over the next 7 days, there's a peak on day 7 of testosterone increasing by 146%. So immediately following ejaculation, there's this downregulation for 3 days that it takes you to get back to baseline. 4 more days on top of that gets you an increase up to 146% of baseline. So if you know that you have an important deal, meeting, performance, sporting event coming up, or if you want to be just a savage in the bedroom and have raging high testosterone, you may want to delay or schedule your agenda so that on day 7 is where you're going to be hitting that peak. These are ways that many guys don't even think about this stuff. They just think of it as ones and zeros of, yeah, it's either I'm on semen retention or I'm not. And that's just not the reality, guys. Like with this, there's so much that you can do to unlock another level of performance in the bedroom, in life, in fitness. And I talk at depth with this in the Power Pelvis protocol. And there's hours of videos, lessons, exercises, programs, protocols, all within there that you can check that out. So this is a deep topic, but with where most men go wrong is not timing this properly, or think that they can maintain and ride the edge without going over the edge, but then they end up going over the edge. And there are ways that if you do go over the edge, you can use certain supplements, strategies where you can help yourself to, say, reduce that refractory period so that you can bounce back faster. There's certain supplements, things, B6, things that can reduce prolactin, increase dopamine, L-Dopa, red velvet bean, mucuna pruriens, things like that can help you to bounce back faster. But these are all things that many men, they go wrong with. And even though you may think that you're doing the majority of these things the right way, there are these nuances to where you might be sabotaging your results. So guys, if you still have low testosterone, or if you don't even know where your testosterone levels are, it's time to get your levels checked. And if you want to get your levels checked, I have an opportunity for you to work with me. We'll do a blood test, we'll do genetic testing, we'll find out exactly where you stand, and then we'll work together to create a customized game plan for you to optimize your testosterone and to unlock your full masculine potential. This is something I've done with my executive gains clients, and this is part of that offer, and I've taken part of it so it's a little bit more affordable, a little more attainable to you guys. And this is something that is very powerful, and this is not only going to help you right now in the moment, But this is going to set you up long term, and you can use this data long term, years from now, instead of waiting until you end up with a problem in 10, 20, 30 years. Instead of waiting till you get to that point and then realizing that, oh, I had this genetic issue, that I've been eating this thing that's been causing this negative effect. Wish I would have known that 20 years ago. Well, guys, do this stuff now. Figure this stuff out now so that you have a genetic game plan for you, specifically for you, what your body's made out of, what it likes, so that you can dial it the fuck in with the right things, avoid the wrong things, and to have a game plan for you to finally do this. And like I said, this isn't some quick fix. There are definitely quick results that you'll get with this, but this is something that's going to help you in the long run. So if you want to get more info on that, follow the link in the description below. I take limited guys on this, so if this is something you're interested in, I would jump on this. And guys, if you want, get the free resources, the free testosterone optimization course, the bulk up blueprint, the ultimate guide to semen retention. You can find all of that in the link in the description below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.